Welcome to Sketchup 102. In this course, we will build a model from an AutoCAD plan. I have already inserted this AutoCAD plan into the Sketchup file you will find in Dropbox. Go ahead and open up that file, play the video, and follow along as I go over some tips and methods for importing CAD plans into Sketchup. Let's go ahead and get started. Now let's insert a CAD plan into SketchUp. Before I do that, there are some tips that I want to go over that will help us build our model quicker when we import it into SketchUp. Let's open up our AutoCAD file. Here are the layers that we want to insert into our SketchUp file. But before I do that, I want to move some things around. Let me open up layers. Now, I do not have a lot of layers in this particular plan, but many times in architectural files, you will have hundreds of layers. Now, we only want to bring in the layers that are crucial and that we will need to build our structure for this model. So here I have my first floor, second floor, my lot layers, and my site. Those are the only ones that I want to bring in to SketchUp. But they are overlapping, and I want to be able to build my first floor and second floor and my site separately. When I bring it in just like this, all the layers are going to be together, and it's going to cause some stickiness, which we will go over that a little bit later, and it will cause a little bit of frustration when we're building our model. So I'm going to go ahead and separate these floors in a way that will help me when I bring it in SketchUp. So let's go ahead and let's lock our 1F layer, and let's start with our site, and I'm going to go ahead and shut off all these other layers, and let me turn on ortho mode, and I'm going to move this over to the right 200 feet. Now let me turn on my second floor layer 2F, and I'm going to move this over 200 feet to my left. Now let's open up our lot and lot contours, and I'm going to move this over 400 feet to my left. Now let's go ahead and unlock this layer. Now these other layers they are not essential to my structure, so I'm not going to import these. Now I do not want to ruin my original CAD file, so I'm going to copy these layers and create a whole new AutoCAD file. Just use any template, and I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to paste to original coordinates. That's fine. And there's the layers that I want to bring into SketchUp. So I'm going to go ahead and save this where I'm building my model, and I'm going to place this on my desktop under SketchUp Architect Training, and I'm just going to call it tutorial plan, and I'm going to save this file. Yes, I want to replace that, and let's go ahead and get into SketchUp. Go ahead and open our SketchUp Pro, and I'm going to hit start. Well, I'm going to select the template. Simple feet and inches is fine. Now I'm going to go ahead and import, and here you will see a list of different file types that we can import into SketchUp. Now, if you only have the SketchUp Make version, you will not be able to import CAD files. However, you can download the SketchUp file with the tutorial plan already saved into it in order to help you follow this tutorial. So go ahead and click on tutorial plan and hit open. And there we have our CAD plan in SketchUp, and it automatically places it on our in our origin axis. Now, if you're dealing with some 3D architectural CAD programs, it may insert things on a Z-axis, and what you'd want to do to avoid that is make sure that your CAD plan, that everything is set to 0, and there's a command called flatten in AutoCAD that you can flatten your plan so that everything stays on that 0 axis, because we do not want any of those 3D elements in this drawing. So let's go ahead and save our file. Go ahead and hit save as. Go to our desktop, architect training, and let's call this lesson 102. And let's hit save. And now we're ready to begin modeling this in 3D. Now, when we inserted our CAD plan, it came in as one big group. I'm going to explode this and separate it. I'm going to right click and click explode. Now we can see that it's all broken up into individual lines. Now let's go to our layers tab, go to window, click on layers. Here we can see the AutoCAD layers that have been inserted into SketchUp and the layer 0, which is our default with SketchUp. We can also purge layers that we don't have any information on. So let's hit purge, and as we can see, because layer is current, it's not purging that, and these layers are not being purged because there is something on each one of these layers. So I want to create a group for each one of these CAD imports that I brought in, these CAD layers. So let's start with 1F. And actually, before that, let me show you an example of the stickiness that I was talking about. Let's say I wanted to draw a line over this plan. See, once I draw a line, it begins to detect all the lines that I imported and create surfaces from these lines. But I just want to use my CAD plan as a reference, and I don't want the CAD layers to actually become part of the model, at least not in this case. So let's go ahead and delete that or undo that line. And let's select all these lines. Let's right click and click make group. Now let's draw a line again. Now when I select the line, you can see that it does not stick to any of these other lines. Now we can still select points and geometries from our CAD reference, but it will not stick to it, and that's what we want. So go ahead and delete that for now, and let's go ahead and make groups out of all these in their own particular layers. So let's click on our site, and I'm going to right click, make group. Let me go to my 2F. I'm going to make a group out of this, and let's go to our site. No, this is our lot. I'm going to go ahead and delete the architect here too. Let's go back, select all our lines here, and oops. Let's go ahead and right click and make a group there. Okay, so now we've separated our CAD layers that we imported, and we made groups of them. So I just want to use these as reference, and I think it's just something that will help us create a cleaner model in the end. Before we get any further, let's talk briefly about the window styles. Go to Window, Styles, and go ahead and let's click on Simple Style, and let's go to Edit. Here we can see that the default profile for Simple Style is set at 2. I'm going to go ahead and change this to 1. And there we see that it changed our profile lines to just 1, and it's a lot cleaner, a lot easier to pick your lines and endpoints. So I like to keep it like that, just so it's easier for me to view my model, and I'm not confused as to what if I'm actually selecting an endpoint or just something else. So that's just a personal preference. Here's another setting we can adjust. Here is the endpoints. Go ahead and click on that. Right now it's set to 9. That's a little bit much, and there you can see how it just makes your drawing look a little distorted there. And I'm going to change this to 2. And here we can see that it creates a little node on our endpoints. And let's say if I draw a line here at 2 feet, let me escape, and there you can see it created a little node. So if I want to snap to that point, I will know that I'm hitting that endpoint there. So that's a useful setting there that we can have. I'm going to go ahead and leave it off for now. If I need to turn it on, I'll go back and change that. So let's go ahead and work in our model in that setting. And later on, we'll go through a little bit more of the styles and adjusting these, and also creating a new style. We can just click create new, and then we will have that style available to select. All right, let's go ahead and close that. Now let's also open up our view tab. Let's go to toolbars and let's click layers, and here we have our layer tool, and let's go ahead and dock this over here. Here we can toggle the layer manager on and off, and we can actually turn layers or make them active. So we want to pay attention to which layers we are drawing in order to keep our drawing organized. Now let's go over managing our layers. In Layer Manager, let's click Add Layer. Here it allows us to rename our layer, or we can just hit enter and accept the default name. I went ahead and clicked enter. Here we can toggle the layer on or off. We can also set this layer active by clicking here. Let's go ahead and draw a rectangle. Now I can delete this layer, and it will give me a couple options to move the contents of that layer to the default layer, or delete the layer and the contents. Let's go ahead and click OK. There we have deleted the layer and its contents. Let's go ahead and let's add 3 layers. Click enter. Now if we have layers where we have no information on and we just want to clean up our layer manager here, I can actually purge those layers by clicking here and clicking purge, and if there's nothing on those layers, they will be removed. So there's a quick way to clean up your layers and just only have the layers that you need in your drawing. Now let's go ahead and start building our 3D model. First, let's start with our lot. I'm going to go ahead and make lot my active layer. Now let's click on lot. It is a group, so I'm going to double click to open that group up. Now our contour lines are going to be 1 foot change in elevation. For this lot, we are going to start at a 0 elevation here, and at every contour we're going to raise our lot 1 foot. So to do this, first I'm going to delete some of these lines here. And on this side as well. Now before I delete all these lines, let me show you something with our select tool. When I click once, it will select a line segment. Now if I triple click, it will select everything touching that line, everything connected to that line. And you will see how that will come in handy in just a moment. So go ahead and delete all our lines. Okay, so now we are going to start at a 0 elevation here, and at every one of these contours I'm going to raise them a foot from the last one. So I'm going to go ahead and click here. Now you see when I clicked once, it only clicked one segment of this curved line. But I'm gonna go ahead and triple click, and I've selected the entire segment, and now I hit my move command. Let's pick a base point, and now I'm going to drag my mouse vertically along my blue axis 1 foot up. Enter. Now I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to go to my next contour, triple click, pick on a base point, and now I'm going to go up 2 feet. So let's keep doing this until we've addressed all our contours here. So 3 feet. 4 feet. 5 feet. And as you can see here, we can already see the change. We could just double check that we are raising them as we want. Oh, and there I need to raise this 1 more foot. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now let's go to 7 feet. Now I'm going to go ahead and level off my plan here at 7 feet. And let's bring it back down a little bit. Oh, let's go ahead and delete this line here. Let's bring this to 6 feet. And let's go to 5 feet. Okay, now we're going to use the sandbox tool to create a terrain based on these contours. So let's go to our toolbars. Let's go to View, Toolbars, and let's click the Sandbox tool. Close that. Let's go ahead and dock this here. Now here we have this first option here, create a sandbox from contours. So let's select all of our contours and click from contours. And there we see we've created our terrain. We can also build the terrain using the From Scratch tool. Go ahead and click on From Scratch in the Sandbox tool. And let's click once and drag our mouse along the green axis. Now let's click again, drag our mouse along the red axis, and click. There we've created a grid that we will use to build our model. Now let's go ahead and make it match this terrain that we've already created. And I'm going to go ahead and drag this from the endpoint here to the endpoint there. And I'm going to use my scale command, use the grid point to match that length, to match the size there. And let's go ahead and match it over here. Okay, let's click on that. Now let's move it back over here. Okay, so now we are going to use the smooth command to push and pull our terrain to make it similar to this one. Let's go ahead and open our terrain here, and let's start on this edge. Let's go ahead and select all these lines here and hit the smooth tool, and go ahead and click on your surface and drag your mouse. You can drag it up or down. Let's go ahead and drag it down. In this case, we're going to go ahead and make it match this length here. Okay, and let's click out of that. Now let's go ahead and click on this set of lines and do the same thing. using the smooth command. And let's go ahead and drop this down and match that height. Now we can also grab lines and surfaces and use the smooth command, and it will still do the same. Let's go ahead and grab this group of lines. Use the smooth command. Let's go ahead and match that. And let's just keep going. And finally, let's grab this last section here. And let's go ahead and match this height here. We can also enter dimensions, but since I already have my site here, I'm just matching that. Now you can see there's a little bit of variation here. Let's go ahead and adjust that. I'm going to select these lines and use the smooth tool. And let's go ahead and match that. And let's see. Let's go ahead and select this whole section here. Use the smooth tool. Okay, there we've created a surface very similar to the one we created using our from contours method. Now another thing we can do with the smooth tool is, let's go ahead and click on that. We can adjust the radius here. If let's say if we had a little hill in the middle, let's change the radius to 10 feet. And now let's push and pull. So you can see we can do that. Let's change it to 50 feet. And there you can see we can adjust it as well. So lets you do quite a bit of adjusting to your terrain with the smooth tool. Now we can also adjust our terrain that we made using the from contours method, the same way we adjusted this one. So let's go ahead and open this group, open the terrain, and I'm going to triple click on this, and let's go ahead and right click. Click on soften smooth edges. Let's open up that dialog box. And here we can change the smoothness of the drawing or of our terrain. We can click smooth, and you can see it'll just smoothen it out. But I don't want it smooth right now, so let's unclick that so that we can see all of the surfaces on here. What this allows us to do is just to select surfaces and lines here. So I'm going to go ahead and select one there. Now I'm going to use the smooth tool, and I could push and pull this in the same way I was doing with my from scratch terrain. Now I could change my values here. Let's go to 15 feet. And there it allows me to adjust that as well. So lots of different ways we can manipulate our terrain here. And let's go ahead and click out of that. Let's go ahead and smoothen this out again. Go to soften smooth edges. And let's go ahead and smoothen that out. Now let's go ahead and go to this one. Let's smooth this one out as well. I'm going to go ahead and triple click. And I'm going to go ahead and just adjust my values a little bit. And there we've created our terrain, same terrain for the most part, in two different methods. So now let's go ahead and build our slab. Let's open up our layers manager and let's add a layer called S-slab. I'm going to call it S-slab because I want to separate my 2D layers from my 3D layers. So I'm just giving it a S in the front for SketchUp. And let's go ahead and use our rectangle tool. And I'm going to start creating surfaces from my plan here. Here I'm just selecting the endpoints from endpoints here. I'm going to go back and clean this up in a minute. Here you can see some of the advantages of having your model, making your model pretty clean, or your CAD plan that you inserted, keeping it pretty clean so you can go ahead and create these surfaces easily. So I'm going to leave my pool out for now. Well, actually, I'm going to go ahead and do this, and yeah, that'll be fine. Okay, now I'm going to use my 2-point arc command for this portion right here. Going to just drag it there. Select those endpoints. Okay. Now I'm going to go ahead and clean up some of the lines that I know I need to clean. And here's another section here. So I'm going to go ahead and select the surface so I can see what areas I still may need to block out. Oops. Okay. So now let me toggle off the 1F layer, which is my first floor layer. I can take a look at what I have drawn to make sure I have my slab how I want it. Go ahead and we'll keep these in the same slab here. I'm going to delete this because this is going to be a fence later. Okay. So now I'm going to highlight all these, or actually let me shut off the 1F layer. I'm going to select all these and I'm going to make this into a group. And then I'm going to copy this down 1 foot. And let's go ahead and hide our first group. So this is going to be our actual slab here. And I'm going to go ahead and extend this back up a foot using my push-pull tool. Here, when we see it changing a different color, there are 2 different faces to every surface, and we can toggle those surfaces by hitting Control. So I'm going to try and keep them all on that same white surface for now. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hide this, turn on my 1F layer, and actually I'm going to unhide both of those that I just made. And when you see it flickering like that, it's because there are 2 surfaces overlapping each other. So now if I shut off my slab, if I hide my slab, you will see that we have just this one surface here. And the reason I want this surface here is because I'm going to build my walls off of this surface. Now let's go ahead and start modeling our first floor walls. Let's go ahead and create a layer called S-walls, and let's make that the active layer. Now let's move this group to the S-walls layer. I'm going to go ahead and open that and also move all these surfaces and lines to the S-walls layer. Now I'm going to go ahead and start cutting out the spaces that I know are not going to be part of my walls. So I'm going to cut out this back patio. I'm going to remove the pool area for now. And let's go ahead and cut out this planter over here. Okay, let's go ahead and shut off 1F just to take a look at our base for our walls, and it looks good. So let's go ahead and start cutting out spaces using our rectangle tool, and we're just going to be selecting from one endpoint to another endpoint, and there you can see it cuts out that space inside the walls. So let's go ahead and do this throughout our plan. And we will have to do a little bit of cleaning up, but if you have a lot of 90-degree angles in your plan, this method could really save you a lot of time and help you to build models very quickly. Going to be our stair area, and here's our fireplace. And let's go ahead and cut out our columns for our back patio here. And let's see. Okay, now let's go ahead and shut off our 1F layer and take a look at some of the things we need to clean up. Let's go ahead and use the erase tool, and we'll select some of these lines to erase. And I'm going to go ahead and erase this slab here. Okay. There I have the walls that I want to use for my first floor, so I'm going to use my push-pull tool, and depending on my ceiling height I may pull it up 8 feet, 9 feet, 10 feet. So I'm going to go ahead and move this one up 10 feet, and I'm going to type 10 feet, enter, and let's go ahead and pull these columns up as well 10 feet. I'm just going to use inferencing and match the height here, and just match the height. And there I've already created my first floor set of walls. Now let's go ahead and do the same thing for our second floor. I'm going to stay on my wall layer, and I'm going to create another group over here where I'm going to create my floor system and my second floor walls. Let's go ahead and create a group using the rectangle tool. And let's go ahead and cut out some of these spaces here. And that pretty much is our, that pretty much will be our second floor area. And I'm going to make this into a group. And for our floor system, I'm going to drop this down 1 feet 6 inches. And then I'm going to double click in that and drag that back up 1 foot 6. And that will be my floor system. I'm going to hide that for now. Let's turn back on 1F. And here I'm in my group that I'm going to make my walls from. So we're going to use the same method with our rectangle tool. I'm going to cut out these spaces in my walls. And some of this you will know by knowing the plan you are working with. You will know what spaces are going to be walls, what's going to be a shower, that maybe you don't want a full size wall there. So I'm really trying to focus on primarily the structure right now. And I think I have gotten all of my walls here. I'm going to go ahead and actually I'm going to leave that out for now. Now let's shut off the 2F layer and let's go ahead and do some cleaning up. Okay, now let's go ahead and use our push pull tool, and let's make our second floor 9 foot tall. I'm going to type 9 foot, enter, and there we've created our second floor. Let's go ahead and turn our 1F and 2F back on, and I'm also going to hit unhide all, and there you will see our floor system over our or under our second floor walls. So when I'm ready, I will stack this back on top of the first floor, but before I do that, I want to begin to cut out doors and windows from my first and second floor. I'm going to go ahead and start cutting out my doors and windows on my first floor first. So here I'm going to select the slab, and I'm going to hit hide. And there I can do this worm view, and here I can see my floor plan underneath my walls, and I'm going to use that as reference to begin to push pull my doors and windows. So here I'm going to click my group, and I'm going to open that group. So now I'm in this group, and let's select the rectangle tool, and I'm just going to begin to outline my openings here. So I'm just going to go around the perimeter of the house, and it depends on if you just want an exterior model. We just need to go around the exterior of the house. If you're trying to do a complete model of the whole house, then we would just continue doing this inside the house as well. But for right now, I'm just concerned about getting the exterior model done, so I'm just going to work on push pulling the exterior. So just keep going around and finding openings, and just use your rectangle tool to break up those faces. You can see we're doing. Go to my garage over here, and I'm gonna break that over here. Another door opening. Oh. So again, you can see that it's very beneficial to have a clean plan. See, I'm not worried about selecting, more than one line. It's, very simple, very clean. So if you can import your CAD plan with just a minimal amount of layers possible, it'll speed up your process. Okay, so that's all my openings. Now I'm going to select the push pull tool, and now I can select these faces and begin to push them. So I'm going to select this. This is going to be my garage door. I'm going to type 8 foot because my header will be at 8 feet, and that's what I'm going to use throughout the first floor for all my door openings is 8 foot. So here I have another opening. This one's not necessarily a door, but I'm going to make it at 8 foot. This is our front door, so I'm going to make that 8 foot. Over here, this is a window. I'm going to do 8 foot, and then I'm going to come back down 2 foot because this is going to be more of a transom window. And then what I just did there, I just used the push pull tool to help clean up the window, the wall surface. And here I'm pushing the surface, and as you can see, when it turns, when it hits another surface, it will stop. And when it says on face, I'm going to go ahead and click, and then it went ahead and deleted that, so it cleans up for us there. I'm going to go ahead and delete this line here, and let's continue on. Oh, then this is the one that we had to add that line, so I'm going to erase that. And let me turn on and off the 1F layer, and you can see what we did around the perimeter. And again, we're just using our CAD layer as a reference so that it stays clean, and we don't lose lines from our CAD layers. So it's in a separate group on a separate layer, so I can turn it off and on, and not have to worry about it getting sticky with my 3D surfaces. All right, go 8 foot, come back down 6 foot. There's going to be a big picture window, and then here it's creating a new surface, but I just wanted to extend that because I'm just trying to clean it up. I just hit toggle to change that, and then there we go. And as you do this more, you'll get very fast with it. This one I'm going to put at 5 foot. Oops. Okay, try it again. 5 feet, enter. And then again, just clean up as we go. And delete this line. Oh, let's turn back on our 1F so we can kind of see the rooms we're dealing with. So here, this is a shower window. So this is going to be, we're going to have it at 8 foot, but it's only going to be a 2 foot window, you know, transom window. Let me go ahead and clean that up. This is a bedroom window. Let's go ahead and make that 3 by 6, so 3 foot by 6 foot. Whoops. All right, this is going to be our back door windows or sliders for the master bedroom. So we'll go ahead and make those 8 foot. And this is our living room. We're going to have a big slider over here. We'll make that 8 foot as well. And here's our garage door. So here I'm only worried about the 8 foot, the height of it, because I already have my openings from CAD, so I don't have to, you know, come from, if I was doing it on this surface, I would have to type in 8 foot, 3 foot, and come back down. And so I just find this method to be a lot quicker than some of the other methods I've seen on the internet. Let's go up 8 foot. And then here I already know it's 8 foot, so I could just use that inferencing to match some of those. And here we'll do this one at, let's do 2 foot. We'll make this a smaller window. Actually, let's go make this 6 foot. Go ahead and delete these faces over here. Okay, so there we are, almost done with our first floor, cutting out our wall and our door and window openings. So let's just take a look back at that, and then, you know, we could keep cleaning up some of these things. You can see some of these lines that as we go through our plan. And there we go. So there's our first floor with our window and door openings cut out. So now let's do the same thing on our second floor. I'm going to move over here. I'm going to hide my floor system. And I'm going to kind of get in this worm view again. And I'm going to go ahead and double click. And let's do this again using our rectangle tool. And I'm only doing a 9 foot wall. I'm doing 9 foot walls in the second floor, so I'm going to use a header height of 7 foot here. And we'll make this one a pretty long window. We'll go to 5 foot here. And well, let's go around the plan and let's cut out these openings first. This way I'm not going from one command to another. I could just, while I'm in this the rectangle tool, I could just do this all at once. Okay, so now let's go ahead and let's push this one up. We'll go 7 feet, and we'll go ahead and match that at 5 foot. Let's go ahead and clean this up. Hopefully you're getting faster with this already. And here, I'm just going to match that 7-foot header height. Come back down 2 foot. These will be some more narrow windows. There, I think okay, let's try that again. And we'll make these, we'll go ahead and make these some narrow windows as well. 2 foot. And this will go back down 5 feet here. And we'll do the same thing here. Header at 7 foot, come back down 5 feet. Let's go ahead and push these up. And these we will, let's go down to 5 feet. So hopefully you're getting to see that you can really knock out some plans really quick with SketchUp. It's really a really great tool. This one, let's keep this one at 4 foot. This one will be a little bit more, a little smaller. This one's going to be part of this this great family room here. It's going to be a 2-story volume here. And here we have another group of windows. Okay. Here we have a closet. We'll make these some narrow windows. And hopefully you're also learning to use your camera tools efficiently. I like to move around a lot and look at them all from different views, make sure I'm not missing anything. I put these at 5 feet, header at 7 foot, and 5 foot tall window. And do that. And we are almost done. Okay. And I'm going to go back down 5 feet here. And push that. Okay, so I think we are done with this. Let me go ahead and unhide my second floor. And let me go ahead and hit unhide all, because I know I have my slab over there. Okay, so now we have our first floor with the openings, and we have our second floor as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and combine these two. Put my second floor above the first floor, and there's a couple ways I can do that. One is because I already know that I've moved my plan originally over 200 feet, so I could select all my layers here, and I could hit the move command, and I could go 200 feet, and there it's right on top of it. And I know I created this floor system, or the first floor. I know it's at 10 feet, I believe. But I created a floor system, so my floor system is, I believe it was 1'6". Yes, and there it is. So now I know I have my floor directly above my plan. So there we go. So the next thing we will do is start creating our windows and doors, and then we'll get into groups and components with that. So let's go ahead and move into that. Now the first thing I'm going to do is create a new layer for my windows and doors. So I'm just going to go ahead and add a new layer. Let's call this one S Windows and Doors. And we can go ahead and make that active. And let's go ahead and start drawing our windows. I'm going to use a line tool for this. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a 4 foot by 2 foot rectangle. And I'm going to double click and make this a group. I'm going to offset this 2 inches and offset 1 inch. And I'm going to go ahead and make this 4 inches deep, and I'm going to push back this surface 2 inches and this surface 1 inch. And I'm going to just reverse that face. And now I'm going to apply a material in my, I'm in the translucent category, and I'm just going to apply translucent glass gray to that window pane there. And there I have my window. And I'm going to go ahead and copy this over and go ahead and copy that again. Now we can see that it doesn't fit here, and that's because I had a 4-inch gap in between these windows. So I'm going to go ahead and move these windows over so I can add that gap. And I'm just putting 4 inches in between each one. And I'm going to go ahead and draw another rectangle. I'm going to use my rectangle tool for this. And I'm going to go ahead and select all of these. And let's go ahead and select our windows as well. And I'm going to hit the move tool, and I'm going to move this back 5 inches. And let's go ahead and reverse these faces again. One reason we reverse the faces is so that when we render, when I'm using the rendering software, Twilight Render, it actually treats the faces different, and it's always good to have it on this this white face. So just something I try to keep in mind when I'm modeling. So now we're going to make a big picture window here, and I'm going to use those same parameters of 2 inches and 1 inch just for my window frame, and just a little window ledge there. And here we go. I'm going to push this in 4 inches, and if we want to see that, we can go in here. So I went 4 inches, and then I'm going to push this in, and I'm just toggling the create new surface, or just extend, or just push. So I just want to push this in 2 inches and push this in 1 inch. And let me go ahead and make those that face, and then let's go ahead and make this pane glass here. And there we've created another window. And now I'm going to click and drag this. And for this window, I'm going to use the move command. I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to hit move command, and I'm just going to drag and stretch this down. And let's go ahead and grab this corner, and I'm going to grab this, and there, just save me a couple steps from having to design a whole new window. And I'm going to set this in 5 inches as well. And now I'm going to make a group out of this. I'm going to make this group a component, because this is a window that I'm going to repeat a couple times in this model. And when I make a component, if I make a change to it, let's say I want to add an extra division in this window. Let's say I wanted to create a division right there. And there we see it went ahead and created it in this window as well. So anytime you have a lot of windows that are the same, you know, it's a good habit to make components out of that, so you're not having to update or copy a window several times. You could just do it to one and it'll apply it to all of them. And this I'm going to only inset a little bit less. And let's see, I'm going to go ahead and drag that over here. And let's go ahead and make this, let's move this window over here. Now we can see that this is a different size, but since I made it a component, if I change the width of it, it will change these as well, which I do not want. So there's a couple things I can do. When we create a component, if I just stretch the group like that, it does not affect the component. Now if I open the group, and anything I do inside of that will affect all the others. Now what I did here is I stretched the whole window, which will kind of distort the scale just slightly. So if you're doing a 3D model and you're not worried about bringing it back into AutoCAD for construction documents, and it's not a big deal that it's just slightly off in the measurements there, might not be a big deal. You know, if you're just using it for a presentation. But there's another way we can do this. I'm going to go ahead and undo what I did, and I could just click here, and just the way I just did it was oh, before I do that, I need to make this component unique so that it will still be a component, but it will not be linked to these. So now it's its own component. So I could grab this and stretch this down 12 inches, a foot, and there, it did not change those. Now if I copy this again, now it's a component again. So if I make any changes here, you can see that it will be applied to all further ones I copy, unless I made this second one unique. So that's one way we can edit components. All right, so let's continue on. I'm going to copy some windows around this end. Just go ahead and push that in. And let's see, let me hit all the 5-inch windows before I come back and do some of those other ones. Or 5-foot windows, I mean. I think I said 5-inch. Okay. And here we see that does not quite fit in that opening there. I could stretch that opening, or I could just grab all 3 of these windows, use my scale command, and find that middle point there, and there I could just scale it and refer to this corner, and it will scale it right in that opening. So just a quick little trick to model quickly. And I'm gonna go ahead and stretch this one. Oh, there we see it's a component. I do not want it to change all my windows here, so I'm going to make this one unique. And go ahead and drag that. Okay. Now let's go ahead and finish back here. And let's make this unique. I'm going to drag this up to, whoops, just 1 inch. I mean 1 foot. Okay, here I'm going to, this opening is 16 feet, so I want these to be 4x4 windows. And right now I believe they are 3 feet, so it's 3x3. Oh, 3x4, I'm sorry. So I'm going to grab this and stretch it over 12 inches. So now I have a 4x4 window. And I'm going to go ahead and make some copies of this. And let's go ahead and copy these over on this side. Use my rotate command, 90 degrees. Select those and push them in a little bit. And all right, let's work on these transom windows over here. And let's go ahead and make that unique. And grab that and stretch that up 2 feet. Oops, and there I was not moving it along my blue axis. You can see, make sure it locks in there before you move it, before you type in your dimension. 2 feet, there we go. Let's go ahead and rotate that. And again, I'm gonna make that one unique here. And you don't have to make them components. You can just leave it as a group in itself and it will not be linked to anything. But again, you know, if you're going to make multiple copies of it, it could come in useful to have it as a component. So I'm going to grab this one, this window component here, and I know that they're the same size over here. I'm just going to go ahead and rotate that. Okay, and I believe, oh, just forgot our windows right here. We'll get those and then we will be done with our windows in our model, and then we can move on to the doors. So hopefully you're getting to see how, you know, you can really begin to build your model fairly quickly using this method. So let's see, there's a pretty big opening here. Let's make this match what we have down here, and the way we did that is let's make this one unique, and let's see, we have, let me push this over here. Let's make sure our opening is matching. So I'm just making sure it's the same there. So we had 4-foot transom, so we want 4-foot windows here. So I'm going to stretch this 12 inches. And just make sure I didn't change any of my other windows doing that. And let's move this over 4 inches. Let's go ahead and copy and drag that. Drag that. There we go. So now we have our same situation that we have downstairs, upstairs. And let's go ahead and push that back. Okay, now we are done with our windows in our model. So let's move on to adding doors. So to insert my doors, what I'm going to do is actually go to 3D Warehouse, and I'm going to grab a door that I want to use for that. And I can do that by going to File, 3D Warehouse, Get Models. And here I could type in, you know, a door or whatever it is I want to find. However, I've already got the door that I want, and you could also just go to 3dwarehouse.com and easily access, you know, the library. And this is the door that I want to insert, and you go here to download, and just make sure you download to the version you have, or earlier. You don't want to go to a later version because you will not be able to open it up. So if I have 2015, I need to get 2015 or lower. So I've already downloaded this, so I'm going to go ahead and open that file, And here we can see the door, and there's some other things in this file as well, but I only want this door, so I'm just going to click on this and hit edit copy, and going to go ahead and edit paste, and there's my door, and I'm going to go ahead and place it over here. Let's rotate that 90 degrees, and there we can see that doesn't quite fit in there, so I'm going to go ahead and stretch it so that it does. And here it's a little bit in there, so I'm okay with that. And so one thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to add a little bit of framework around this door, and to do that I'm just going to use my pencil tool, and I'm going to go ahead and create a header and a transom above here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a 6-inch header, and let's go ahead and I'm going to square this off here. I'm just creating some more divisions here so I can actually convert this to a window. And I'm going to go ahead and offset this 2 inches and 1 inch. And there I'm going to push this back 2 inches and 1 inch there. Let's go ahead and reverse these faces. And I can go ahead and change that. Okay, so later we'll get into applying materials to this, and we will also add a roof a little bit later. But let's go ahead and go around our model and keep adding doors. Right here I'm going to add a garage door, and it's basically just going to be a material. So I'm going to make it a group, and let's go ahead and give it a thickness of 2 inches. I'm just going to pull it out 2 inches, and then I'm just going to slide this whole door inside. Let's go ahead and move it in 5 inches. Actually, this one's pretty thick, so let's move it in another foot. And okay. And actually, you know what? Let's go ahead and apply the material, which I'm just going to use the same material from this door. I'm going to apply it to my garage door. And there we can see there's it doesn't quite fit in there, and we can adjust that by going to our edit command. And here we see there's some values that we can adjust for that texture, but I don't want to mess up my door scale for that material, so I'm going to go ahead and create a new material. And let's see, I'm going to first let's break this. I don't want it to be, I just want it to be longer. I don't want to change the width of these wood panels, but I want to change the length of them. So let's try this. Let's try changing this to 16 feet, and let's see what it does. And let's hit OK. Let's call this garage door. Let's give it a new name. I'm just going to hit enter, hit OK. So now that material is active, we can go ahead and apply it here. And there we see that looks a little bit better. Now what I did there, let me go back. I'm going to reposition this material on this surface. So I'm going to go to texture. I just clicked on this, right clicked, go to texture, position, and here I can move it. And I could also scale it in here as well by grabbing these grips right here. This one I could actually rotate, and I could scale. So I could scale it along this line, and I could rotate it as well. So I'm going to just stretch it out just a little bit so that we don't see those seam lines there. And that looks good right there. And I'm just going to click out of it, and there we go. So just a quick little material edit there. And there's a lot more things we can do with materials and adding custom textures, which we will get into in the next lesson. So let's go ahead and add a couple more doors. And let's see. And I realized we just missed a couple windows, so I'm going to go ahead and fix those in a minute. So let's draw these doors right here, and let's do 3.0 by 8.0, and go ahead and close that. I'm going to double click and make this into a group, and let's stretch this back 2 inches, And let's offset this in 2 inches as well. And let's go ahead and make 4 divisions in this door. And there's a couple ways we can do that. One, because it's going to be an even number of divisions, I can simply click on this midpoint and drag, and it automatically breaks this line. And I could click on another midpoint there, another midpoint there. So, but there's another way I can do this, is just clicking on it, and I could hit divide, and there I could change right now it's set to 7 segments. I could change it to 4 segments, and now it will be divided into 4 segments. So now you can see there's an endpoint, endpoint, endpoint. It would also create midpoints in between those as well. So now it's a little bit harder to see because of the style that I have it in, but if we changed our style to see endpoints, you would be able to see these nodes a little bit. But I know they're there, and I know that that's correct, so I'm going to go ahead and just draw some lines to divide there, and then let's offset this 1/2 inch. And then now I'm going to use this inferencing command where it's just going to refer to this dimension that I just typed in, and I'm going to double click, and it should offset it automatically to that 1/2 inch. This is the last value that I inputted. So let's try that. Double click, and there it goes. So I don't saving me the time of entering another dimension again. So let's push this in 2 inches. Actually, this is 1 inch. Now I'm going to do the same thing. Instead of grabbing this and pushing it here and making it match, I can just double click and it'll match that distance that I previously entered. So very useful tool to quickly, and he's going to clean that up, just to quickly just create some models, create just services and things. It just really helps things out. So let's reverse those faces, and let's push this this mullions over here. Let's make this 1/2 inch in, and let's apply some glass material to this. Let's go to translucent glass gray. Oops, let's back up. And now I don't really see it breaking through, so I have a surface here that I didn't pull all the way through. So let's grab this and let's drag this along here. You may have to toggle your control command to make sure that it's pulling through, and let's go ahead and click that, and there it just automatically cleaned that up. Now let's go ahead and give this a surface here. We can do that. Let's just close it. Let's see, make sure I'm grabbing the right thing here. And there, just kind of close that group there. I'm not too worried about the inside looking correctly at this point because I'm just concerned about my exterior render. So I'm not going to get into a lot of detail with that right now. But when I go back and start to work on interior shots, then I will change some of that. So here I'm going to we see it's the door opening is not quite the same, so I'm just going to use my stretch tool to make it match. And let's go push that in. Let's go ahead and push that in a couple inches. And now this door is actually wider, so I'm going to grab this, make a copy of it, and this one's going to be, I'm going to stretch it over 1 foot because we want it to match this opening up here, these 4-foot windows and doors. We want them to be the same. And let's go ahead and copy them. And again, because I adjusted that here, it's not quite the same, but I could just use the stretch command, grab all of them at the same time. Let's grab that point there, and there we go. It's going to push it in a couple inches. All right. So now for this garage door, I'm going to just keep making a real simple door. Just going to draw a rectangle, and just let's offset it 2 inches. And let's push it in 1 inch. And then let's just remove that. And that's all I want to do. I don't want to do anything fancy for this door. We will apply material to it, but I'm going to drag this for this door over here. Let's go ahead and rotate that. And we could get as detailed as we want with this. We could add panels to it. We could add doorknobs. Just depends on how much you want to do and show in your model. I'm going to grab one of these. Actually, I think it's more closer to this size. And this one's going to be for this larger door or window unit here. And there we go, that fit perfectly in there. And now we just have one more garage door here, and for this one I'm actually going to change this from 2 doors to 1 large door. So I'm going to go ahead and do some cleaning up here, some push pulling, and let's measure this. Let's go ahead and use our dimension tool to measure this. There we see we have a 20-foot opening, and I actually want this. Let's do a 16-foot opening. So let's push it in 2 foot on each side. So I'm going to go 2 feet this side and push it in 2 feet here. So now my garage door opening is 16 feet. Let's go ahead and delete that. And let's go ahead and create a garage door. Okay, I'm going to make this a group. Let's go ahead and offset 2 inches inside. And for this one, I'm going to make 4 divisions along the horizontal axis of this, and let's see how many divisions we want to do here. Where's my midpoint? So we got a midpoint right here, and we'll go ahead and just keep that 4 divisions as well over on this side as well. And let's go ahead and offset this in 1 inch. And let's see if we could double click and repeat that. Yep, sure can. So I'm just double clicking and repeating that offset distance. And let's push this in 2 inches. And I'm going to double click and repeat that distance on all these. And then I'm going to go ahead, let's do some cleaning up. Let's hit our eraser tool and let's clean up some of these lines here. And that looks good. And let's go ahead and push this in. Let's push this in 1 inch. All right, there we go. There we have our garage door. And let's go back and add these couple windows that we missed here. Or that I missed. You may not have missed them, but I did. Let's go ahead and grab one of these windows. Let's rotate it. Go ahead and copy that. And let's copy these over here. We can see that these are different size, so I'm going to go ahead and stretch that. Let's go ahead and grab them all and just inset them in there a little bit. Let's push them in 2 inches. And one more here. And let's take a look around our model, make sure we didn't miss any others. Okay, I think we are good. So there we go, we've inserted our doors and windows in this model. Now let's go ahead and place our model onto our site that we brought in from AutoCAD, and we already know that we originally spaced it 400 feet, so I'm gonna go ahead and move it back 400 feet over here. But before I do that, let's go ahead and let's select everything here, and I'm gonna make this into one group. And now I'm gonna use my move tool and move this along the red axis 400 feet. And that is where I want it on my site, but not at that elevation. So I'm just going to drag this on my blue axis. And there we see how our plan or our model is sitting on our site. And let's go ahead and just place that right there. And you kind of eyeball it. If you're working with a site plan and you actually know the contours and at what elevation you want your plan, you can kind of still look at your contours here and judge by that. Or if you don't know, I mean, it's a great way to look at your plan, looking at the actual site terrain and seeing where it might actually work best to place your site. So there's another way we can do this, and I'm going to show you that as well. Let's go ahead and move this up for now. I'm just going to move it up 100 feet. And we're going to use the stamp tool. And to do that, I'm going to grab just my slab. And let's go ahead and make a copy of this down. And for this, I just want to use this surface. So I'm going to get rid of my pool for now. And let's go ahead and I'm going to clean this up a little bit. I just want one big slab here. And I'm going to go ahead and double click this. And let's go ahead and cut and paste this. So I'm going to cut this. I'm going to delete all that. I just want one surface. And now I want to place this surface in the same group as my terrain here. So now that I'm in that group, I'm just going to hit edit, paste, and place. And now these are in the same group. And now I'm going to go ahead and use my stamp tool. Go ahead and just click on that. And now you see there's a little red offset on the surface that I had selected. And here we can adjust that offset. And it's asking us for the mesh that we want to stamp this surface onto. And I'm going to click over here. Just give it a second. And there you see what that offset does. It just kind of spreads out the surface where it's connecting to the site, and we could kind of push and pull that up or down. And I'm just gonna just move this slightly up, and there we have a little bit of transition between our slab and our terrain. So we can change that offset to spread it out more, and it will just kind of smoothen it out depending on what it is you're trying to do with your site and your model. So I'm going to undo this for now, and I'm just going to place my model back down where I had it at 100 feet. And let's go ahead and place our driveway back on, which I believe that was on our, let me just go ahead and close that. Now let's create surfaces from our site plan that we brought in from AutoCAD. Let's go to layers and let's turn on site. And here we see it over here. I'm gonna just drag it from one of these endpoints here on a driveway, and I'm gonna line it up here. And I'm gonna turn off my terrain for now while I model this. And I'm going to make this S-lot layer my active layer. And let's go ahead and create surfaces from this CAD plan. And I'm just trying to get my endpoints. This will be my street. This is going to be the sidewalk. And these will be pavers just going up to the front porch. And we'll do a little bit of cleaning up here in a minute. All right, almost done. This will be a little planter over here in the front. Okay, let's go ahead and cut out a couple more surfaces here. And let me shut off the site layer and make sure I didn't miss anything. And yep, I missed a couple steps here. And I missed my arcs. So let's create some arcs over here. I'm just going to drag the arc, and I'm going to refer to this arc from CAD and just click there. And again, remember, I could change the segments if I feel like it's too choppy and I want it more smooth, but it seems like it's fine for this. And let's go ahead and clean it up a little bit. I'm going to turn off my site layer, and let's do some cleaning up here. Use my eraser tool. Okay. I'm just hitting undo when I erase too much. Okay, just grab some of these surfaces and make them all the same color here. Just right click, reverse faces. And there we go. We have our site layers here. Let's go ahead and make this into its own group. I'm going to click them, double click them all. Oops. Well, sometimes you gotta do it a couple times. That's why sometimes it's a little bit better to make your group first before you do this. Kind of working backwards here. Make group. There we go. Okay. Now well, actually, before I turn on my site layer, I'm going to go ahead, and I do want a couple steps here. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and drag this down 6 inches. And I'm going to match that and come down again 6 inches. And I think I'm okay with 2 steps. I don't think I want to do 3 like I had drawn in AutoCAD. So I'm going to clean this up just a bit. And let's eraser tool. And let's go ahead and drag this down 3 feet. And let's come back up 20 inches for a little planter right next to our door. I'm just going to drag this down. And actually, I'll leave this here. And actually, let's go up just 2 inches with this. And let's clean this face up here, or the surface. And as you can see, our driveway is now lower than our garage door, so I'm just going to drag my garage door lower. And let's see, let's go around, look at the bottom of this, and drag the bottom of our slab down a little bit more. And let's see if I match that. And let's match it with that distance there. And here we have some things on different layers or different groups. So I'm going to erase that. And I need to drag my wall down. Now, I don't want to change my header height because I want them lining up, so I'm just going to make my garage door a little bit larger by stretching it down using the scale tool. And just grab that middle grip point. We know there's always 3 grip points, so if you just grab the middle one and drag down, and there we go. And I'm going to have to do the same thing here to this garage. Let's drag our slab down a little bit. And Let me hide this for a second here. I'm going to double click on this garage door and hit hide. And we have a couple layers overlapping from the walls and the slab, so I'm going to delete that. So select the slab. And before I do that, I'm going to offset a little bit. I'm going to offset the exterior. And let's cut the surface there, and I'm going to drop this down and drop our floor down there. Okay, and I did that offset so I wouldn't lose this edge, the exterior edge there. I just want to drop this front face of it. And let's go ahead and turn my garage door back on. And let's go ahead and again use our stretch tool to stretch this to match. And just grab that bottom point there, and there we go. So now our garage is on the same level. Okay, now let's turn on our terrain, or unhide our terrain. And there we see that our terrain is still a little high, so I'm just going to drag my terrain down just a little bit. I'm just going to eyeball it to where it's just barely below our driveway. And let's drag this driveway down. Let's go 2 feet. And I think that's enough there. And let's drag these down. Let's just match that. And I'm gonna push these down to match or get close to my actual site grade. And this one as well. Match our sidewalk. And then I'm just going to create a line here and angle my garage. I'm going to slope it up a little bit. Okay, let's erase that. And reverse these faces. And now let's push and pull our pavers over here. Just want them just a little bit above my terrain. And there we are, almost done. Use our eraser tool and clean that up. Now let's do one more thing just to add a little effect to these steps. Let's make these steps look like they're floating. And how I'm going to do that is let's grab a couple lines here, and I'll grab these as well. And let's drag this down 4 inches. And if I don't hit Control, it will try to drag down the actual line, but I actually want to copy a line, so I hit Control and I just move along this blue axis, and I'm going to type 4 inches. And then now I'm going to push this in 2 inches. And let's clean up some of these lines we made. And there we go. We have our floating steps. And we will add materials to that in a minute. But first, let's go back to our pool area and let's model our pool. I'm going to swing around to the back here and take a look at our pool. And here we just have a large slab, and I'm going to hide my terrain for now. And let's go ahead and start modeling this. And let's drag this down 6 feet. And we'll drag this down 6 feet as well. And let's use our rectangle tool and start cutting out some of these spaces. All right. Let's go ahead and cut out some of these steps. All right, let's push this down 3 feet. Actually, let's see. Let's figure the steps is going to be 6 inches each. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So that'd be 2 foot difference there. So I'm going to push this back up 1 foot, and let's go 1 foot 6. I don't think I did that right. Let's do 1 feet 6 inches. There we go. And let's go down 12 inches and then 6 inches. There we go. And let's hit erase tool and erase some of those. And let's do the same thing over here. Just go down 1 feet 6 inches, and then 1 foot, and then 6 inches. Let's go ahead and erase that. Now I'm going to go ahead and erase this surface for now. And let's go ahead and push this down all the way. And I want to bring it down again, let's say 12 inches. And I believe I missed the surface here, so let's go ahead and fill that back in. Let's get rid of these. All right. And 6 inches, 6 feet seems a bit much. So let's go back up 2 feet. There we go. And I'm going to drag this down. And let's go down 12 inches. And let's go down 12 inches again. And I'm actually going to bring this back up 4 inches. Just create a real shallow part of our pool there. And now let's create a little bit of a infinity edge effect. Let's drop this down 3 inches. Just cleaning up some of these extra lines we created. And I think I erased a little bit too much there. Okay, go down 3. All right. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a surface around my entire pool. And let's double click on this, and let's make this into its own group. And I'm double click it again. I'm going to fill in this portion that it missed here. Just click on any 2 points, and there it went ahead and filled that in. And let's see, let's delete some of these lines. Can't see them because they're overlapping, but there's some lines there. And here, let's apply a material to this. Let's go to water pool light, and let's click on that group. And then let's drag this group that we created. Let's drag this down 2 inches. Let's go 2.5 actually. So I'm going to add another 1/2 inch to that. I just want it barely above that ledge that we created here. Let me delete that piece. And there we have, if you look around this side, we create a little infinity edge effect. Now let's add a ledge here that will catch some of this water that's falling over. And I'm just going to eyeball this. And let's drag and match that. And let's push this in a little bit more. And let's offset 8 inches. I'm going to push this in 2 inches. Now I'm going to match this because I want it to be the same width as my wall right above there. And let's push that there. And we lost the surface here, and we can just add that by using our pencil tool. And let's just click there, and it adds that surface again. And in this surface here, let's use water pool, and this one is not translucent like this one is. And let's see if we add that to this surface too. There we go. Okay, now let's connect our rear porch to our pool area. And this I am going to create an additional surface. And just go ahead and make these connections here. Let's drag this out a bit. And I'm going to make this connect right here. Let's clean up a couple of these lines. Now we are almost ready to begin adding our roofs to this model, but before I do that, I want to add some columns here that I missed, and I'm going to go ahead and just use my rectangle tool, and let me click right here, and I'm going to use this extend command or the push pull tool and go 10 feet. And I'm going to double click on this and make it a group. And in addition to that, I'm going to make it a component just in case I want to change all these columns or make them wider. I can just change one and it will change all of them. So right now, let's say if I wanted to add a little bit of width to this, let's say I want to make them really fat, I can do that, and there just applied it to all the columns. Now to start our roof, let's first create a layer. It's called roof. And whoops, let's go to make that active layer. And first I'm just going to start making a basic flat roof. So in order to do that, I'm just going to use my rectangle tool and just start cutting out some of these surfaces. And I'm going to ignore that piece right there. And let's go to erase that, erase these lines, and let's go ahead and make this into a group. And now I'm going to offset this 2 feet outwards. And let's go ahead and drag this up, let's say 16 inches. See how that looks. And let's go ahead and drag this line up as well. Let me clean up this offset. All right, and let's go ahead and create another flat surface over here, flat roof. And this one I'm going to go ahead and let it cantilever over there. make this a group, and let's offset this 2 feet as well. Let's erase that group of lines, and let's go ahead 16 inches as well. And here I don't want it to cut into this that much, so let's go ahead and pull this, but this time I'm going to toggle control, just kind of create another division in there, and I'm just going to push this to line up with this wall there. And let's go ahead and delete that. So there we have it laying on top of there. Let's clean this up on the bottom as well. Let's create another roof system over here, over our garage. Double click on that, make it a group. Let's push this, let's pull this up 16 inches. And I forgot to offset it, and I could just drag this out if I want, 2 feet on each end. And I want to continue this over here. So this is what I'm going to do, is I'm going to push and pull, and I'm going to hold down, I'm going to toggle control, and I just want to create some divisions here where I can push and pull this. And let's just give it a foot overhang over here. And let's push this back here. Push this one back as well. And I just want them to overhang a foot past my column. And let's use the eraser tool to clean this up. And let's create one more roof system over our outdoor eating area. Let's go 16 inches. And let's offset this, let's try a foot, see how that looks. Okay, so that's a very basic roof system, and I'm going to add a little bit more detail to that, and then I'll also show you how to create a sloped roof system. Now let's give this an I-beam look to this roof, and the way I'm going to do that is using the Follow Me tool, which the Follow Me tool is it's an awesome tool that will allow you to do a lot of cool things. So I hope you really see the advantages you can take using this tool. So what I'm going to do is create just a little I-beam edge look. I'm going to extend this 2 inches. Actually, let's make it a little larger. I'm going to go 3 inches and then down 1 inch, and go back 2 inches. And let's go out 2 inches, 1 inch, and let's close that and delete that. I'm going to go ahead and copy this, edit copy, because I'm going to use it again very shortly. And this is what I'm going to use, my Follow Me tool, and basically just select a surface, and if it's connecting to whatever lines it's connecting to, it will allow you to follow that profile, that surface profile that we created, and I could drag it all along my roof here. So just go ahead and drag it all the way around, and when it comes back to where it started, it'll just light up and it cleans it up. So nice little cool effect that it creates there. Let's go ahead and try it again. Let's hit edit, paste, and let's place it over here. And see, now when I grab it, it's not sticking to anything because this is in its own group. Now if I was in that group, it would stick to it. So let's grab this again. I'm going to edit, cut, open this group, and hit edit paste in place, and there we go. So now for this one, I'm going to hit follow me, go, whoops, and if it does that, if it automatically does that, just undo and click once on a surface and then drag your mouse and just make it touch that surface, and there we'll stop there, and then we're going to go this way again with it. And let's go ahead and make it return back into there. Let me go ahead and erase that line, clean it up. Now I'm going to do it on my garage over here. I'm going to hit edit paste. And since I'm in the same group, it will go ahead and stick to that. And let's hit the follow me tool. We'll select the surface first, and then we will drag it. There we go. And we see it didn't quite wrap around that corner. If I wanted to do that, let me just push it back and hit tools, follow me, and hit that surface, and there we go. Clean that. And we'll do it one more time over here. Edit paste. And I'm going to try a different way of using the offset tool. I'm going to select the path that I want it to follow first, and then I'm going to hit tools, follow me, and now I'm going to click this surface, and bam, it automatically follows that surface that I pre-selected. Let's clean that piece right there. And there we have a flat roof system. Now let me show you how we can do a sloped roof system, and to do this I'm going to create a separate layer. Let's call this S roof 2, and let's shut off our other roof that we just created. Now for this, let's create a profile that we want to use our follow me tool with. So let's just create a 6-inch fascia board here, or freeze board. And let's go 1 inch. Let's go back up. Let's give it a 2-foot overhang. Let's make it a pretty deep overhang. And let's go. I made a 6-inch fascia, and let's make this a 4/12 actually. Kind of keep it low sloping. And now I can follow this geometry that I just created. When it turns magenta like that, it's because it is recognizing this previous angle and it's following that. So I know that I am continuing on with that 4/12 pitch, and I'm gonna go 6 inches down here, and let's see, I'm gonna go ahead and connect it there. So there I've created a profile that I'm gonna want to go ahead and create my roof with, and I'm actually going to stretch it out just a little bit more. We'll see why in a minute. And let's go ahead and I know that's at an angle. It's not. I'm not trying to create a rafter. I'm just trying to create a profile that I can wrap around my building. So now let's make this its own group. And I'm going to open that group, and now I'm going to create the path that I want it to follow around my roof, around my building. And let's go ahead and just going around the perimeter of my building. And let's go ahead and I'm going to select all these lines. I'm going to unselect that surface, and I'm going to hit tools, follow me, and let's click on our face, and bam, we just created a roof system there. Now I'm going to delete some of these lines here because I want to clean it up. Let's go ahead and use my eraser tool. I think it'll be a little faster. And what I'm going to do now is use my intersecting faces tool to help me clean this roof system up. So now I'm going to go ahead and select all these faces, right click, and hit intersecting faces with selection. And there you see it just made all the surfaces that were intersecting. It kind of created a division, a line between them all. So now let's go ahead and delete these overlapping surfaces. And there we have our hip roof. And of course I could have made this profile a little bit more complicated if I wanted to, a little bit more detailed, just depending on the style that you want to go with. So there's a lot of things we can do with that follow me tool. So very cool tool. There's so many things you can do with it. Very complicated trims and different things. So definitely take advantage of that follow me tool. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my other roof system, and I think we are about ready to add materials. Oh, there's one more roof I want to add over here. Let's go ahead and make that a group. Extend that out. Oh, let's just go 12 inches with this one. And I still have my profile in my clipboard, so I'm going to rotate this around. Let me rotate this 90 degrees. And I'm going to place it on this edge. And let's see. I did not have it in a group, so here's the group. Now paste in place. Let's go Tools, Follow Me. And there we go. Okay, so one more thing I want to create before we add materials, and that is some cabinets and a fireplace. Let's start with our outdoor fireplace here, and let me hide my slab, and let's go back to our wall layer, and I'm going to go ahead and create that surface here. Right click, make this a group, and I'm going to drag this over here to this surface, and I'm going to go 2 feet above my flat roof. And now I want to create just a little bit of some trim features here. So I'm going to go 4 inches, and let's go 16 inches, and let's go 4 more inches. And let's go ahead and stretch this out 6 inches on each side. Just a little chimney cap. And let's offset this 4 inches. And let's push pull through there and through here. And let's go ahead and let's select all these and hit intersecting faces with selection. And let's go ahead and delete some of these surfaces we created there. And let's give this a little bit of trim here. Extend it out 1 inch. And we can drop that down if we want. And there's our chimney. or outdoor fireplace. And now let's create a fireplace area. Let's go with a, let's type 36 inches, and I want to create a just a horizontal fireplace that's 60 inches long by 4 feet wide. Go down 16 inches, and let's go ahead and push that in. And let's see. Well, I didn't create that in a group, so what I'm going to have to do is double click on there, hit edit, cut, open this group, hit edit, paste in place, and there I could, now it will actually cut into the surface. So let's push this in. We could just eyeball that if we want. And I'm going to offset this inside here, make it into a gas fireplace. And let's give it some glass walls here, some glass doors. And double click, make that a group. Let's push this in 1/2 inch. And let's create another door here. And let's apply a glass material to this. Kind of offset that 1/2 inch so they could kind of slide in and out. And before we finish, let's just create a little bit of trim around this fireplace. So go ahead and make that surface again. Let's offset, and let's go just 1 inch. We'll give it a really thin piece of trim. And let's offset this, not offset, I'm sorry, let's push or pull this out. Let's just go 1/4 inch out. There we go. All right, so there we have our outdoor fireplace. Now let's work on these cabinets over here that we will have. Go ahead and swing around this side, and we will stay on our wall layer. That's fine. And I'm going to go ahead and stretch this up 36 inches. Actually, I'm going to go 34.5 inches. And then I'm going to push this in. Well, actually, let's go ahead and cut out. Let's make some divisions here, because we know we're going to have a grill sitting in here. I'm going to move my floor system up 4 inches for my toe kick. And I'm going to push this in 2 inches. 2 inches there. 2 inches here. And let's create a couple more divisions for our doors. And I'm going to cut this short here because I want to put in a grill. And now let's go ahead and make this into a group. And now I'm going to make my countertop. Make this a group, and let's go ahead and offset this 1.5 inches out. Let's erase that inner line, and let's extend this up 1.5 inch. Let's go ahead and create a profile edge that's rounded, and to do that I'm going to just draw a line here, and let's go out 0.75 inches, and let's use our arc tool. I'm going to click here and here, and there we created a little profile. And I'm going to go ahead and use my follow me tool. I'm going to select all my lines for the path that I want it to follow. Go to tools, follow me, and select this surface. And there it rounded off those edges. Now another thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and offset my doors a little bit. So let's go ahead and hit offset, and let's hit 1/2 inch, 0.5, and let's go ahead and do the same on these other layers here. And I'm just double clicking, and it's repeating that offset. And let's go ahead and push these out 1/2 inch as well. And I'm going to double click and do that same distance on all these. And there we have our cabinets. Now let me go to 3D Warehouse and let's find a grill that we want to insert. So let's go ahead and go to File, 3D Warehouse, Get Models. Now let's go ahead and type in a 36-inch grill, and let's see what we can find. Okay, here's one. Let's try this KitchenAid grill. I'm going to go ahead and hit download and load this directly into your SketchUp model. Yes. And there we go. I'm going to rotate this 90 degrees. And there it's a little bit bigger than I want. And I'm just going to make this one fit for now. If this was a real project, probably would want to adjust my cabinets for that to work. And there we go. And let me push this out, make sure I got it lining up correctly. And I'm just going to place that as close as I can to the center for right now. And one thing I'm going to do that I'm going to go ahead and edit these materials a little bit. I don't really like the material that it has on it, or I should say I don't like the spacing that the material is showing where you can see this pattern. So here I selected the material, I hit select, use my eyedrop tool and just selected that and hit edit. So this is the layer name, corrugate shiny. And here is the value that it has. So I'm going to increase this to, let's say instead of 2 foot to 6 feet. And there it spread out that texture. It kind of looks a little bit more normal. So I like that a lot better. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it like that. And let's go ahead and unhide everything. And let's take a look around. And my pool is not on. So let's go to View, Hidden Geometry, and there it is. So let me click on that, hit unhide, and there it's back. So let's go ahead and get into some fun stuff and start adding some color to this model. Now let's adjust a couple more elements before we get into adding materials to our model. Let's go ahead and pull this slab down to meet our terrain. And I'm just going to pull it down 4 feet. And here again, it's not touching here. Just going to pull this down. And let's pull that down as well. Now it's a pretty big gap there. I don't really want it to be that deep, so I'm going to go and modify my terrain, and let's go ahead and use our smooth tool. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to select this whole area right here and select smooth, and we see our radius is at 30 feet, and let's give it a second, and then let's just drag this up, and let's get it kind of close there. And let's go ahead and grab this. Let's go ahead and accept that, and let's go ahead and move this side of it up as well. I'm going to go ahead and grab it right there. Let's hit our smooth tool. And let's go ahead and push this up. And we kind of look around and see what we're doing. And let's go ahead and grab this area over here. All right. And if you notice, there is a little bit of a situation happening here where it's going through my pool area, and of course I do not want that. So what I'm going to do to cut that terrain away from my pool is I'm going to create a surface here. I'm going to make a group out of that, and I'm going to drag this through all the way through my surface, and then I'm going to let's go ahead and let's cut this out, and let's open up the group that the terrain is in, and let's hit edit, paste in place. Let's explode that surface that we created, and let's select all this. Let's select the terrain and that group we just created, and we're going to hit intersecting faces with selection, and it should cut into that terrain. And let's go ahead and hide our model here so we can see what we did. And let me hide hidden geometry so we get kind of a cleaner look. So let's go ahead and open this, hit erase, and there we see now I could erase my terrain. And let's go ahead and unhide everything. And there we go. Now it's no longer cutting through my pool area. And let's go ahead and get back into this one more time. I'm going to grab, I want to see my hidden faces again. So let's go to hidden geometry. And this time I'm only going to grab the center here. I'm going to use my smooth tool again. I'm going to change my radius from 30 feet to 15 feet. I'm going to hit enter. So I'm not moving such a large area. And there we go. And there we go. All right, a little bit of a less dramatic drop off there. I'm going to go ahead and drop this side down just a little bit more. Looks like it's kind of going up and down again. And let's use the smooth tool. And just a little bit. All right, so let's shut off hidden geometry. And now I just want to add a couple elements to my, sorry about that, to my model. Now I just want to add a couple elements to my model to enhance Now I just want to add a few more architectural elements to my model before I apply materials. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit more depth and some trim features. So let's select my top right here, and I'm going to offset this. Well, I don't want it offset that far, so let's go ahead and let me make sure I'm in my wall layer. I'm going to create a surface here and click right there. Just create a little cap here. Let's go 2 inches. And let's see. I'm going to pull this back to the point it hits this wall here, and let's drop this down, let's say 4 feet. And actually I do want it to come out just a little bit, so let's come out a foot. And let's clean that up a little. Offset this 2 inches. Let's clean up some of those extra lines we just created. And let's hide my roof just for a second. And I want to create a little header above this. And let's go down. Let's try a foot first. And let's make it a little bit larger. Let's go back down 6 more inches. And let's push this in 12 inches and 12 inches there. And I want to change these windows, so let's drop this down another foot, or let's drop this down to the floor, and let's get rid of one window. And alright, now let's go ahead and stretch these down to this point. And let's make sure we're not changing, that component is not linked to any other windows. And it looks good. And let's stretch these down as well. And I could just grab this point here and hit my move tool and just drag it down. Oops. Make sure I stay on that blue axis when I'm dragging like that. And let's use our push-pull to bring this corner in. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and make this drop and line right up with my window. There we go. Okay. And let me see if there's some other things I want to do. Let's make these windows line up with the windows below it. I'm going to go ahead and merge these. And before I move my windows, I'm just going to make my opening line up with this opening below, and I'm just referring to that, and it'll just snap to that point. And snap there. Now let's drag our windows. I'm going to drag it out where I can see it. And just grab this point here. Let's go ahead and copy another window. And let's just move this one back here. And it looks like it almost fits, but not quite. So I'm just going to stretch it in to position. There we go. Okay. Now let's adjust this planter that we have here. Just going to cut this out. And let's go drop this in an inch. And there, that'll be just a planter. We can put some things in there. And let's make a step here for this garage to enter this area here. Let's stretch this out 12 inches and let's drop it 6 inches. All right. And I want to create a kind of a louvered passageway here, just an architectural detail, just something that you can look through. So let's go ahead and use our rectangle tool and create a face there. I'm going to double click on that and hit make group, and let's offset it 2 inches. And now I'm going to grab this line and let's drag this let's say 2 inches and 2 inches. So I'm going to delete these. Let's go ahead and give it a depth of 2 inches as well. Copy that. Let's reverse these faces. Now I'm going to grab this and I'm going to hit drag or copy from point, hit the here, and now I want to copy multiple ones, so I'm going to hit times, let's try 20, enter, and we were almost there, so let's say times 22, and that looks about right, so we'll go ahead and accept that, and we will apply material to that in a minute. And let's go ahead and push this in 4 inches, inset it in there. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to merge all my wall layers so I can clean up these my floor for my walls, for my first and second floor. I want to start merging all these so that when I apply a material, I will just be selecting one surface, one connected surface. So I'm going to right click in all these 3 that I've just clicked and hit make group, and I'm going to click them all. Now I'm going to explode them, and now I'm going to select them all and hit intersecting faces with selection. And now let me shut off the 1F, 2F layer, and I'm going to use my erase tool and go ahead and just start cleaning it up. And this will just make it that much more easier to apply materials and just editing some architectural details that I want to add in here, just creating divisions in my materials. And there we see that there's something going on over here. There's a little offset here, so let's go ahead and push this back in there. Let's erase that, and let's push this in. Let's continue cleaning our walls up. Okay, and I think that looks good. And I'm going to hide my terrain. And let's see, I'm going to hide my slab as well. Okay, so there's some things I want to do here. I'm actually going to merge my slab with my wall. So let's go ahead and hit make group again. And I'm going to explode it, my slab. And let's go ahead and do that again. Well, actually got to explode this. Okay, and I'm selecting them all and hitting intersecting faces with selection. And let's clean this up a little bit more. Actually, I wanted to keep that one there. Okay, let's hit unhide. Now let's add a fence going around our property, and I'm just going to start right here on my edge and then go 8 feet up and 6 inches down. And let's go ahead and close that. And let's make this into a group. And let's go ahead and add a little cap to this. And I'm going to just go out 1 inch. Let me type that in, 1 inch, and then 2 inches up. And let's go out 1 inch, 2 inches, and go ahead and close that. And this will be our profile for the fence that we will wrap around the property. And we're going to use the follow me tool to do this, but since our lands are since our property is sloping, we're going to have to drop this up and down a little bit. So what I'm going to do is going to drag it, and let's start dropping it down. Let's say 2 foot here. Coming over here, let's go maybe a 3 foot drop here, and I'm gonna be able to adjust this later, but I just want to draw something first. And looks like we're gonna bring it back up. Let's go up 2 feet, and let's bring it across. Let's go up again. 2 feet's a bit much. Let's just go 12 inches. And let's see if we can drag this across. And actually, let me come back here. We'll bring it up one more time. Just make sure you're on that blue axis, and let's go up 2 feet's a bit much, so let's go 12 inches, and we'll bring it back over here, and we'll tie that back into our property there. Now what I'm going to have to do here is delete some of these lines, and I'll have to create a couple different fence segments and then just tie them all in together. Let me select my profile. I'm going to hit copy, and I'll go ahead and start my first one here. And I'm going to go ahead and make this its own group. And I'm going to need to rotate this 90 degrees. And let's connect it right there. And I'm just going to use the push-pull tool for this, since it's only pulling in one direction. Make that into a group. Actually, let's paste it here. Actually, let me grab this one. Copy. Paste. And now let's use follow me. Well, I actually did not get right on that, so let me connect it. Now let's use the follow me tool. And let's just follow this line that we made over here. And I don't want that connected, so I'm going to make this into a group. Now I'm going to select this face, copy, paste, snap to that point there, and drag this along the line here, stop there. Let's make this into its own group. Okay, I want to add it right here, and let's drag that. And one last time, I'm going to paste this right here and then hit the follow me tool. And I was not in that group when I pasted that, so let's cut this one more time. There we go. Edit, paste in place, and tools, follow me. All right. Now it's not quite on my property, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and merge all these layers. I think it's safe to do that now. Make it into one group. Open that up. And I'm going to explode all these groups within my group. And let's hit intersecting faces so that they all merge together. And now I'm going to just grab this whole section here and drag it inside. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Go ahead and drag this in here. And let me go ahead and drag this back portion in. And let's go ahead and let's just drop this in, let's go down 12 inches. I don't need this anymore. Okay. So there we have our fence system. And go ahead and change that face. So now let's just add a couple more divisions in our surfaces so that we can apply the materials. I'm going to hide my terrain and my slab. So I just want to deal with the walls right now. And let's go ahead and select our wall surface here. And let's go ahead and create a division here and division there. And let's go ahead and push this in. Actually, no, let's push this one out 5 inches. And let's push this out 5 inches. Make that match there. And just going to kind of give it a little brick ledge. And let's go ahead and make a division here. And go ahead and drag this, and I'm going to shut off my roof layer because I just want to be dealing with my walls right now. Now I'm going to make a division in between these two, and the reason why I'm doing this is because we're about to apply layers of we're about to apply materials, and I want to create some divisions where I can separate my material types. And let's go ahead and push this out 5 inches. And here I've just had to draw a line there to, for some reason it added another surface there that I do not want. Go ahead and clean that up while I'm at it. And let's create another division here. Okay. Now one thing I want to do is I want to match my window opening with this system, this wall system below it. Let's expand this window. Go ahead and make that match there. And let's go ahead and stretch this window. Let's go ahead and make it go all the way to the roof. Let's line up. Okay, that is already lining up. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another window to the bottom of this. And let me use one of these that I created, that it's already a group. And let's rotate this 90 degrees. And it is not a component, so I could go ahead and modify this and not have to worry about it affecting my other windows. Okay. And I think that may be all the surface changes that I want to address right now. So let's go ahead and unhide our roof, and let's unhide our terrain. Now let's go ahead and add some materials from our Sketchup paint bucket tool. And I'm going to go ahead and close our layers here, and we're just going to use our standard materials that come with SketchUp. I believe SketchUp Make and SketchUp Pro both should have the same selection of materials. Now we will get into adding your own materials and customizing materials in the next lesson, but for now we will just keep it simple, and let's just deal with materials and colors that we have in SketchUp right now. So now let's address our terrain here. Let's add some vegetation. Go ahead and click on that, and let's go ahead, let's do vegetation grass artificial, and let's go ahead and click on that. And what I want to do is edit this. I think it's a little bit too small. I think if we change the scale of it, it kind of looks a little bit more realistic. And let's darken it up a little bit. Maybe brighten the green up and darken it. Okay, now let's go to stone, and let's see if we could apply a stone material to our walls. Let's go ahead and select our surface for our garage wall here, and that one's a little bit too rubble looking, so let's try something. Let's try this stone sandstone, and that's a little better. And what I want to do is I want to lighten this up a little bit, or let's make it a little bit less orange looking, and let's see if we can lighten it up just slightly, and that looks a little better there. Now let's select this piece here, and let's select this right here, and we'll go ahead and carry this over on this side of the wall. And now let's add a cladding to this. Let's go to brick and cladding, And let's do this clad siding white, and let's edit this. Let's change the spacing of it. It looks kind of wide. Let's go to 2 feet, and that looks okay. Let's darken it up now. I'm gonna go pretty dark with this, and maybe try this a little bit darker. Okay, let's go ahead and wrap this around here. And see there, we need a division here if we're going to do that correctly. There we go. And let's add that same material there. And let's add it here and here as well. And let's continue on around here with let's add some more stone to our patio area. And I can select all these surfaces at one time by just going like that, and it should apply it to all of them. Got to be careful you don't grab things you didn't intend to grab. And before I do that, I'm going to apply a color. Let's do color 008. And actually, let's go a little lighter. Let's go 007 on that. Okay, and I'm going to apply this stone material to there, and I want to go ahead and, well, actually no, before I do that, I want to address my ceiling. Let's give it a wood ceiling. So let's go to wood, and let's try just something a little subtle. There we go. And then I will apply to the group in general this black 007 layer. Let's go ahead and address our roofs the same way. Let's put this wood on there on each one of these. And we'll probably delete some of these extra lines here. Okay, now let's apply this same color over there. And let's see, let's go ahead and hit some of these areas we missed. All right, let's add that color there. Now these columns we can make these wood or just painted black, or give that steel look to them. Just go ahead and apply that there. Okay, now let's address our street here. Actually, before I do that, let me add some green to our planters. And I'm going to add another color to my trim. I'm just going to modify one of these colors. So that's a bit bold there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit edit, and I want to match a color on my screen. So let's match a color that's on our model, and that will be fine. Kind of blends in with our wall there. I'm just trying to match and fix some areas that I missed here. And let's use that same color for our roof on our windows. And I just selected the whole group there. I didn't mean to do that. And here we go. Let's just select our windows and apply that same color to it. Let's just go around our model and change the color of our windows. And my door, I could do that completely black, but probably we'll try something else with that. And let's take a look. I'm going to apply some stone to this planter here. And let's drag this up. And I also want to apply that dark window trim material here. I just want to match the color that I had on there. If it'll let me select it, there it goes. And let's just select these layers here. This was not a group, so I have to select each face. Oops. Okay. And let's apply some concrete material to our drive. Let's go to asphalt and concrete, and let's select concrete aggregate smoke. And it's pretty dark, but we can adjust that. And I could select all of these since I had it in a group, but I don't want to select all of that right there. So actually I'm going to, let's just use this selection tool method, and there we go. Okay. A couple things we could do here to adjust the color. I could lighten it up. I could change the scale of it as well. Just if I want to see the texture a little bit more. So I'm gonna leave it at 3 foot. Seems about good. And for our street, we'll go with asphalt. So we'll do the asphalt new, and let's change the scale of this. Let's try 6 feet, see what it looks like. Okay, not too bad. And let's apply a wood material to our fence. Let's go to wood. And again, we'll use this wood floor, and it's not too bad. And there really are some great resources for some really nice textures. SketchUp, the basic textures that it comes with are not too bad, or materials that it comes with, they're not too bad. You know, you have to play with them a little bit, get them how you want, but there really is some great resources for some high quality materials, and that will really make your model look great. Uh, you know, I kind of want to say your model's as good as your materials, but not necessarily true, but materials do make a big difference. So let's go ahead and use this wood cherry color, and I'm going to apply that here, and I'm going to modify that color a little bit. And let's change the scale. I'm going to go with a lower scale. It's at 6 feet right now. Let's try 2 feet. And it's still a little large. How about 12? Yeah, just kind of keep that. Don't really want to notice that texture too much there. And forgot a couple windows here. And my garage door. And actually I want to apply color to my window panes here. So I want to apply a translucent material to my garage door, but I don't want it to be completely see-through. So what I'm going to do is I'm making a different translucent material for my window. I'm going to edit the color, make it really light, and just change the opacity of it so that you can barely see through it. And let's see what that looks like. That's a little better. Let's maybe go. And then let's apply this same color to the framework of this door. There we go. And let's apply that same wood that we used for our detail right here. And now for that trim, let's just use black. And let's apply that concrete color over here. And let's apply some of that concrete aggregate color over here. Now there is a lot of different types of textures we can place on here. I'm just trying to keep it simple for right now, just showing you how to apply textures. And let's add one more over here to our cabinets. And let's just match that concrete color there for our top. Now I can also go to my model, my materials in my model, and I can select ones that I've already used and apply them in my model. I'm going to drag this fireplace down. Okay, and we can download materials from the internet that we can import into our model. We don't have to just use the ones that SketchUp comes with, and we will go over that in the next lesson. Now let's go ahead and insert some landscaping to this project. And in our Dropbox folder where you downloaded the file for our tutorial, there will also be a landscape file in there as well, which I have some trees and some vegetation that we can use for this project in there. And another way we can get some of our vegetation and trees is through 3D Warehouse. Just go ahead and click Get Models, and we can just basically type in any type of tree or vegetation that you want, and basically you can begin to create your own library of different types of trees or a bush, just some shrubs maybe. Let me go ahead and search that. Or if you know a specific name, let's say you're looking for red oak tree, you know, let's see, let me click on that, search, and there's a red oak tree right there. So there's all kind of things we could find on here, some very good models in there. I would recommend to be careful inserting 3D trees. Let me go ahead and type a 3D tree, and a lot of times these are very large files and will really slow down your project in processing, you know, depending on the computer you have. But so what I like to do is find a good 2D tree that when I render it or when I'm making images still looks very good. It will still cast shadows how I want, and it won't slow down my model too much. And also you can look for low poly trees, so that's something you may want to look for. Now I already copied to my clipboard some of the trees that I want to grab, so, and you can do that as well just by going to landscape and selecting these. Just hit edit, copy, and then we're going to go ahead and paste that into our model here. So I'm just going to hit edit, paste, and let's go ahead and just place this back here for now, and let's go ahead and move this up a little bit. Okay, now these are the trees I'm going to and bushes I'm going to use for this whole project, and I'm going to just manipulate some of these and place them where I want. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that, make sure it's touching my ground there. I'm going to go ahead and grab a base point to drag it, and I'm just going to go ahead and make some copies of this. And do the same over here. And one thing I've learned with creating models that look a little bit more realistic is to try to get rid of the edge lines of your project, where we would have this grass, the ground meet these walls. Kind of want to blend that in a little bit so it's not such a harsh just a harsh view there. So just try to hide that a little bit. And let's go ahead and drag some of these over here. And we can also manipulate these. We can stretch them. Right now these I think are a little big, so I'm going to actually stretch these down, make them a little smaller. I don't want it to look like it needs the lawn cut. Let's put these larger ones up top on this planter. And I'm just moving and copying. And we can go ahead and modify some of these. Let's go ahead and stretch it just so that it fills in nicely there. Let's copy a few more of these. Oh, and there we can kind of see something not quite lining up there. Go ahead and move these back. And let's grab these taller ones here. And I'm going to use my stretch tool to modify this. I don't want it to be that big. And maybe we widen it out a little bit. And let's grab a couple more of these and place them around our model. And stretch it back out again. So you can do this however you want. Just add some vegetation. Just make it look a little bit more natural setting. Go ahead and drag some around this corner here. Just going to try and get a front shot of this, so I don't want to do too much. Don't want to add too much vegetation around the whole project, but as you can see, we can do that. Just grabbing these, and let's hit rotate 90 degrees. And let's go ahead and slide this down. And let's push it in our planner. Okay, now let's add some of these trees where we want them. And this I'm actually going to push outside of our project here, or our lot. Oh, and these Italian cypress trees, I believe is what they're called. Pretty nice trees, look good on a lot of modern style homes. So I'm just going to copy these, put them in a row. And let's go ahead and drag some of these, or let's place them along this side as well. All right, and let's place a couple more on this other end. And let's make sure they're touching the ground. It looks like they are. I'm just going to go ahead and copy a few of them over here. Now I'm going to go ahead and delete this extra terrain that we built earlier. And now this is one thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to stretch my terrain. So when I take an image of it, I can actually show a little bit more, a little bit beyond my property. And I grabbed a little bit too much there. Let's see if I can grab just my edge here. This is one way we can do this. I'm going to show you another way to grab an edge and not grab the wrong thing. Let's go ahead and do this. Do it on this side. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to select this surface because I know it's flat. I'm going to right click, align view, and there it aligns my face with that surface. So I'm just looking directly at that. Now I could go to my camera, and we've been in our perspective mode, but if I change it to parallel projection, now I'm directly 90 degrees above this surface. So now I want to just select that edge, and now let's just drag this out a bit. Okay, now let's go back to our perspective view, camera perspective. And let's go ahead and drag this tree down a little bit. It looks a little tall. So when we get our view, we just can kind of begin to see these trees beyond it. Now, another thing I like to do when I'm creating my models is to try and hide the horizon line. Anytime you're looking at looking anywhere at a project, at a home, at a building, unless it's on a mountain, you're not really going to see your horizon. It's usually covered up by something, by buildings, by trees. So I just like to use trees to kind of blur that boundary between the ground and the sky, and just kind of gives your model just a nicer surrounding. And if we're not really that concerned about the adjacent properties, we can kind of do this to just to blur the site. And let's go ahead and copy a couple more. And let's see, so we start getting down into it, then we can start seeing that it starts hiding our horizon. So here we can see that if I just looked at it like that, you would see the horizon. But let's go ahead and drag these trees down, and let's move some around here. And let's let me move these to hide that corner. And there we go. We've added some vegetation, some landscaping to our project. And one more thing I'm going to show you for this lesson is how to manipulate your shadows. So let's go to Window, and let's turn on our shadows. And here we have our shadow dialog box. And here, this is what we want to pay attention. Well, actually all these are very important. So what I want to do is right here, this is the months of the year. So this is our calendar year. And here, this is what we do to toggle our shadows on and off. So let's go ahead and toggle it on. And it might take a second for your computer to process, but as you can see, there's the shadows there. And I can darken my shadows by just hitting dark, and you see the shadows become a little bit more defined. I could darken my whole model. I could brighten it up. And then here, when we start adjusting the time and the month of the year, then we start changing our angle. Here we can see the angles right there. And let's go ahead and just adjust the months. And there you can see it just starts changing my shadow. And here, let's change the time of day. And there we see it moving as well. Now there's one other thing that I want to show you, and that is how our shadows are being cast on the ground or on faces. Now when we just do faces, let me unclick ground, it's only the sun is going to be shining and it's going to cast a shadow on any surface you have and nothing else. Now when we have it on the ground, it's going to cast it on this 0 point that we have here. So it's kind of an imaginary ground. So let's see, if I move my shadows, you kind of see that I don't really have any surface here, but it's still casting a shadow there. So I usually don't like that to happen, because especially when I have a terrain that's sloping and turning, moving in different directions, it could kind of cause some shadows to appear that aren't really there. So let me go ahead and click off the on ground, and let's move our shadow somewhere a little bit more realistic where we want it. There we go. And there we have it.